Obviously, our first thoughts this morning are with the victims, their families, and the city of Boston. We know that two explosions gravely wounded dozens of Americans and took the lives of others, including a 8-year-old boy. This was a heinous and cowardly act, and given what we now know about what took place, the FBI is investigating it as an act of terrorism. Anytime bombs are used to target innocent civilians, it is an act of terror.
All right, folks, President Obama earlier today, welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show. The latest update, 3 dead, 176 people injured, and the person of interest, the Saudi national, is no longer a person of interest. Joining us right now to talk about everything we know and everything we don't know is my good friend, I'm proud to say, Congressman Peter King from New York, a member of the Committee on Homeland Security and the chairman of the Subcommittee on Counterterrorism and Intelligence. Congressman, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, let me ask you. I would assume you've had a briefing today. What do we know and what don't we know?
Actually, just so you know, the briefing that was scheduled for 11 o'clock for members of the Intelligence Committee was postponed because they said the situation was too fluid. And
doesn't that sound a bit unusual?
It is, but I think from what I can tell so far, it really there is nothing definite about who a suspect would be, and there's so much they are looking at as far as evidence that I guess they decided it was best to wait until there was more concrete evidence in. I mean, there's been reports that the bombs were what are called pressure cooker bombs.
Yes. And
that was from Inspire magazine, or that was certainly in Inspire magazine, how to build these bombs. The fact that it was synchronized type bombings, ball bearings, all of it, and the fact that it was a large public event, a iconic event, athletic event, all of which Al-Qaeda has called for these type of attacks, would indicate that Al-Qaeda is a main suspect. On the other hand, usually Al-Qaeda or its affiliates take responsibility within 24 hours, and they haven't done that yet. So,
well, also we have a report from CNN's national security correspondent quoting federal officials saying that Al-Qaeda it is not an Al-Qaeda attack as far as they're concerned, and as I mentioned, that Saudi national has been ruled out. Yet, I'll also say, Congressman, that CNN interviewed a security expert, quote unquote, who said he just got back from Afghanistan not too long ago, and he said the MO of these bombs are exactly the kind that the Taliban would use there.
Yeah, I have heard that, and I'm not sure. I've seen the same reports you have. I'm not sure that the 20-year-old Saudi you're talking about has been ruled out. And I think the media has been too quick to run with that. I'm not saying he is a target or anything else, but I'm not. I also don't believe that he's been ruled out.
Well, what makes you say that?
Just from people I've been talking to, I think that they. I'm not saying they're zeroing in on him, but I don't think that he's been ruled out. That's all I'm saying. I would wait until that's officially announced until we get a better announcement on that. Of course, again, they did raid his house, and
they carried out a bunch of plastic bags worth of material. So it did seem strange that all of a sudden he's now being described as someone who was in the wrong place at the wrong time, but running from the scene because he was injured and burned. Why would you run from the scene if you're injured or burned? It doesn't seem to add up.
No, I mean, there's certainly questions, which is why they went and got a search warrant. Remember, to get the search warrant, I assume they had to go to court to get it. It was a court-ordered search warrant, so they had to show some sort of probable cause, to raid someone's home. So I guess I just wouldn't be that quick to rule that out. Also, to say that Al-Qaeda, I know I've seen that too. Some people saying it's not Al-Qaeda. I mean, that I'm almost certain from talking to people who are close to the investigation. I don't mean people in the investigation, but people who I believe have a knowledge of it. That certainly has not been ruled out. I mean, right now it could still be domestic terrorism. It could be Al-Qaeda, but there's certainly a lot of evidence indicating that it could be Al-Qaeda.
Okay, so that's interesting to hear because this is certainly contradicts what we're getting in the media. Congressman, why aren't we further along? And are you concerned? I know it's a different circumstance. I understand that completely. But to hear the president, say we'll get to the bottom of it, we're not going to rest until the people are brought to justice. I sat there and I'm saying, oh, my God, this is the same thing he said about Benghazi, and we're no closer to finding anything out about Benghazi than we were on 9/11. You know, I'm just a little, I don't want to say skeptical or worried, but it just seems to me that, you know, they should be further along than they're claiming to be now in the investigation, or if they're not, why are they not?
Well, I think one difference with Benghazi is that there was a motive for the administration to slow down the Benghazi investigation because it reflected on them directly as far as not having done enough for security, not really knowing what was happening over there, even though they had enough warning that they should have. So I can understand that. I think in this case, when it's domestic, it would be hard for them to hold back on it. I mean, maybe George Bush would have moved more quickly. I don't know. But I think it's a question of degree. I think that once the FBI is involved, once Mueller's involved, once the Boston police are involved, I think they're going to go all out because at that level, you know, these are professionals. The people who are going through all the bomb debris and all the components, you know, these are professionals, and they're not going to allow themselves to be sidetracked.
We're talking to Congressman Peter King here on the Steve Malzberg Show. You mentioned you were on MSNBC earlier today, and you talked about the need for more cameras. As far as you know, was there a paucity of cameras in the Boston area at the marathon, in that area in particular? Or as far as you know, can they, and this is why I'm as a layman a little confused, why can't they just, if they were well equipped with cameras, can't they just rewind the tape and look at every, you know, anybody and everybody who was in that area? Or am I just being too simplistic?
No, I am not certain. I don't believe they, for instance, have the same level of camera security that New York City has, certainly that New York City has in Lower Manhattan, where it's a very, very sophisticated photo system which is constantly being monitored, and they can call up any street corner at any time, and they can look for somebody wearing a yellow shirt or a red sweater, and that'll come right up. I'm almost certain Boston does not have that level of sophistication. So what they're doing, if you notice, they're asking for people who took videos, who have iPhones, anyone who took any type of photo at all, to make them available to law enforcement, and they're going through it one by one. And I think I have a lot of respect for the FBI, for the Boston police. I think once they're on it, no matter what anyone at the top or above them may want, you know, these guys and these women are going to get the job done.
Do you think, Congressman, that have you heard anything in your capacity, or there's all kinds of things, and I hate to be, you know, promote rumors or anything, but nonetheless, there are stories out there of eyewitnesses who say they were told when the bombs went off, relax, this is just that police were saying this is just a test, or this is just a drill. Relax, stay calm, and that there were Facebook postings before the marathon indicating from the Boston Globe that there would be a drill. There's pictures of a man on a roof, like directly above where the bomb went off. I mean, have you heard anything about any of these?
Well, I've only heard second and third hand that there was to be a drill taking place. I've not heard.
Well, when? During the marathon?
Well, that's good on-the-job training, in effect, if you will. It was a good way to get realistic experience. Not that they'd be setting up bombs. I don't mean that. But that they would have been maybe setting up a situation. I just heard there was a type of drill. Again, I'm hearing this second or third hand, that would be a way for them to get, you know, real-life experience. And but again, there was no talk of setting off explosives or any type of even dummy explosives, no.
All right, listen, Congressman, thank you so much. I'm glad the show is now 11 weeks old. I'm glad to have you on finally, and we'll get you back. And thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, Congressman Peter King, ladies and gentlemen, making huge news that everyone should be picking up on, that despite what you're hearing on CNN and Fox and everywhere else, and we're going to have Steve Emerson on next, the man who broke the story on Fox about an hour ago, saying that the Saudi national, who was a subject of interest, a person of interest. They never called him a suspect. They never even called him a person of interest. But there were reports from people like John Miller, who used to work with the FBI. He's now a CBS analyst, saying that this Saudi man, had been questioned in the hospital. He was being guarded in the hospital. They went to his apartment reportedly. They took out bags at 2 o'clock in the morning, filled plastic bags. The FBI did. So as Congressman Peter King alluded to, they had to get a search warrant. But lo and behold, about an hour ago, Stephen Emerson said, and it was then quote-unquote confirmed by federal authorities, as reported by the networks, that this man was no longer a person of interest. He had been cleared. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now Congressman Peter King contradicts that and contradicts what CNN had reported from their national security correspondent. Her sources told her that there was no al-Qaeda connection whatsoever, and Congressman Peter King says, not so fast. So now we'll go to the source of the original story saying the Saudi man was cleared, Steve Emerson, when we come back. Making news. Don't go away on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If you owe the IRS back taxes,